All right, Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're excited to get you on. I know you're a busy guy and been working for a couple weeks on getting you on here. So we finally were able to sit down and we got a lot to talk about. So I want to jump into it here. Why don't you give everybody a overview of kind of who you are, Allure Title, and what brought you to where you are now. Take a few minutes for that, and then we'll move on from there.
Sure. Yep. To begin, thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it. I'm glad we can make it and get together and do this. So, I'm Brandon Spain, the owner of Allure Title Company, and what got me there, let me back up a little bit. Grew up in Pace, spent my whole life in Pace, went to school in Pace, and still live in Pace today. But,
there you go.
So Allure Title in Pensacola. So interesting story of how I got there. My background is in banking and finance. So started in 2001 working for banks and went through a bunch of different facets of the bank, commercial side of the banking more so than anything, did residential development loans, condominium construction loans, all that type of stuff. So come along to 2009 during the financial crisis and, the job type I had at the time, we all got let go. So at the time said, all right, well, what am I going to do? And got a call from another bank that I had worked for in the past. And they said, hey, we heard that all you guys just got laid off. We want you to come back and work for us. So went to that bank. And shortly after that, there was a merger going on between them. And, this all happened over about a year and a half period. And we get to early 2000, mid 2011. Same thing. We go to the bank and say, man, who's going to get laid off today? Whose bank's going to be this? What are we going to be doing? And at the time, Jennifer was pregnant with the kids. So she's 7 months pregnant. We don't know if we're literally going to work or we're going to have a job today. So I said, I got to do something to, pay rent, make a car payment, buy formula, that type of stuff. So around came Allure Title Company. And that was my way of, doing the stuff to make enough money so that if we had to pay rent, buy the kids formula, we could do that. And so I started doing the stuff that people just didn't want to do. The $5,000 lot closings, the simultaneous closings, the assignments, the trailer closings. Yep. So at the time, I'm like, give it to me, I'll take it. If you guys don't want it, I can start off by doing this stuff. So that was kind of where it started at was, way back then, getting that stuff going and just, the idea was not to get it as big as it is today to where we got numerous locations spread around. It was just to let me get it going so that I can pay the bills, provide, and that's what we're doing. And I don't have the exact number, but I think last year we closed almost $800 million in transactions.
Wow.
Spread out.
That's
phenomenal. Amongst the different
incredible.
locations. So,
that is a ton of real estate.
Yeah, and you don't even, you don't even think about it, right? So it's just customer, let's take care of this customer. Let's take care of this customer. Let's take care of this customer.
Following the process every time.
Following the process. And as you do that, you kind of build something. And, we, it's probably around 2013, we made a change that said, okay, instead of, we're doing this, we're no longer doing this trying to, pay rent. So we're going to forget about the money per transaction. And our goal is going to be, let's take care of the customer. Let's take care of you guys, the realtors. Forget about the money. Money's important and that pays the bills and does all right. Yeah. But we kind of had a paradigm shift amongst the company and said, this is going to be our goal going forward. We're going to take care of the customers no matter what it is. That doesn't mean we're going to work 8 to 5. That means we're going to work 5 to 8. Same time you guys work. We're not closing down.
Yeah.
Still today, you call me on my cell phone at 9 o'clock at night. I'll answer it, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one of the biggest things, and we'll record the intro after we're finished with the show, but that's one thing I want everybody to understand is we use you for literally every transaction that we can. If I get an offer and they leave the title company blank, and a lot of times we even counter offer and say, no, we want to close with Allure because I know if I call you, you're going to have the answer to my question right away and you're going to pick up the phone no matter what. I've gotten emails from Jennifer at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. before or 4 a.m. and she said, you just woke up and you're starting your day. I'm like, you guys, you really do pull the same hours that we do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then that's the culture, right? That's the culture of the company. It's not we're going to make a ton of money because we really, per transaction, we don't make a lot of money. It's a volume game, right? So that changed, and when we changed that goal, it changed the trajectory of our company. It's almost like if you're looking at a line, it's plug along. We're going to change what we're doing, and then it skyrocketed from there. And, we've had substantial growth every year. And it's not because we've said, right, we want to grow 20% this year. We want to grow 25% there. That was never the objective. It's we want to have 20 more customers this year. We want to have 25 more customers this year that we can take care of. And, today that's really what I spend the majority of my time on is how can we keep that culture, right, of taking care of customers first, putting customers first, And, don't worry about the money we're making transactions. Some we make money, some we lose money, right? It's just the customer comes first, and that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's calling somebody back at 9 o'clock at night, it's getting a CD out at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's our goal, and that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. I love that mentality. I think a lot of people would do very well, and us especially. People in the service-based industry need to have that kind of mindset, and it's easy when you start looking at that closing statement and seeing what the commission is on deals and stuff. It's easy to become kind of oriented for, oh man, I need to close, a few more of these and I'll have X amount of dollars in commissions, and forget that you are dealing with people and transactions and big events in their lives.
Correct.
That's crazy. I mean, I want to come back to time management and different things like that, as well as what you're kind of doing on a daily basis. But so you kind of already touched on it, but just give an overview of Allure Title now, different locations, kind of the services you offer. Give us just a breakdown for people who aren't familiar with title at all.
Yeah. So, what we do, real estate closings. Once you put together a deal with realtors, you guys, then we handle the real estate closing part of it, the escrow and the closing. So we get office in Pensacola, Pace, Niceville, Destin, and Sandestin, and then floater over in Panama City, which is John. So,
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I thought you had 3.
Yeah.
Nope, we got more.
That is crazy.
Yeah, we've got more. So, and but go back to mentality. That's the way we want it to be. Is I refuse to get away to the big company mentality of okay. We work. My mindset is we work for you guys, not the other way around. And as you see, some of the bigger title companies, it's okay. You're on our schedule. You have to close it this time, and that's my main goal is we will not get to that.
Oh yeah. That's been a huge drawing factor for us. I know even before I moved down here and was saturated in real estate, he would always call me and, tell me about his day or whatever. And that was a highlight was, hey, you're going to love meeting the Spains because they take care of you.
I told him that before they came down because, and I had told you that many times as far as I feel like whenever we're doing a transaction with you guys, we're collaborating. We're on the same side. Whereas a lot of times you feel like, you and the other realtor or you and the title company, you're all kind of butting heads, trying to each do your separate jobs and pulling in different directions. But it's not that way when you're dealing with somebody who's like, hey, we all want to get this done. We all have the same goal here.
Yeah. And our goal for you guys and anybody that's our customer is, when you pick up the phone, I want it to be, hey, I'm calling Brandon. Let me run this by him and see what he thinks. Hey, what can you do? It's not, hey, I got to call the title company and see what they're going to say about this. And I hope that gives a level of comfort to where
it sure does.
You can call me at 9:30 at night and say, hey, I'm going to be like, hey, let me put my beer down. Hold on. So, that's the kind of the level of comfort that we try to build with all of our customers.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, I kind of want to hear about, I'm so intrigued by you. How many locations is that? 6, you said?
6 total signing locations.
Okay, I want to get into that as well. But what are some things before you got into title? Not necessarily negative, but what are just some things that you didn't realize before you started? Like every industry has things that you're like, oh man, I did not realize this would be a thing.
Yeah, it's the challenges, right? And you got, no matter what you do, you've got challenges, and the challenges you're going to run into some of these, and we deal with the challenges on stuff that's not really purchase sale stuff because we do refinances, we do, Rich will do some ownership changes, some estate stuff and all that, and it's, you've got these people that are trying to reach an objective, right? So they come into you, and sometimes it's rough. What we deal with is, the divorce stuff, and you probably have divorce sales. That stuff's rough.
It is.
And you're dealing with people, they're not happy.
Stressful time in their life.
Stressful time. Should I be doing this? You get people that, do we really want to be doing this? And that stuff, it never gets easy, right? So you're just going to have to deal with it, and it's part of the job.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, it's kind of a trite saying before you get into, in a lot of industries are this way, but everybody had said no 2 real estate transactions are the same. And it's like, okay, I know no 2 real estate transactions are the same. And it's true. Yeah, it is true. Once you start doing a few transactions, it's like there is always some new thing where you're like, I've never encountered this before.
Yeah.
We had a deal last Monday closed with you guys. And I showed up for the final walkthrough. Closing is at 2:00. We showed up for the final walkthrough at noon, and the seller had almost all of their stuff in the house. They were not moved out. They had a U-Haul truck in the driveway that they had backed into the garage and messed up the gutters and everything. I showed up and I called Mark. I was like, we got to get them out of the house. We got to get repairs for what do we do right here? It's just crazy.
Last minute.
Yep. Last minute craziness. So yeah, you gotta be quick on your feet, and a lot of that just comes with experience too.
It does, but you're still going to run across that stuff that is uncharted waters. Right? Nobody really knows what to do, and that's the stuff that's kind of rough. Okay, well, what do I do in this situation to try to make it as easy as possible on everybody?
Yeah.
So and then the stuff we kind of deal with, and you're going to see it too as you go. You've got mom and dad. Somebody comes down with cancer, so they're selling their house that the kids have lived in for 18 years because they don't want it to go through probate, and they're selling it. And it's just rough, man. That stuff's rough.
Yeah, those personal issues.
Yeah, but you're helping somebody.
Yeah.
Right. So you get to be a part of their life and get to be in that stage with them and help them achieve what they're trying to do.
Well, and come from their side too, working with somebody like you that's customer oriented. It's comforting. I mean, it's not only easy for them, but it's comforting. It helps them have that confidence that they can get through this with your help.
When you approach it in such a way that you're their resource and you're there to help them. That's the best that anybody can ask for. During those times. So okay, well, we're still kind of in the beginning stages of what you have built now. So I want to know kind of, and maybe this is a poor question, and I apologize again. I said before we hit record, I didn't give you any of these questions beforehand, so you're just thinking on the fly. But what are some mistakes maybe that you made in the beginning, or what lessons learned that you feel like, okay, if I had to go back, this is something that I would do different?
If I could wind the clock back to the beginning, right, it wouldn't be, let me just try to do everything. It would be more of the boutique stuff that we are today, right, versus just, I got to do all this, I got to do this. And part of that is surviving as a business, right? So if you think of yourself as a realtor, you can't take every single deal that somebody calls you about, right? So if there's something that's $80,000 and they want $480,000 for it, you can't help them.
Yeah.
So, learning what you're good at, learning what you're not good at. Right?
Okay.
So in the sales world, I'm going back to my early days, you kind of learn you can't make everybody happy. So you learn what do you do well, and then work inside of that niche.
Yeah.
Right. So winding the clock back, if I could change and kind of say, okay, this is our niche, I could have saved myself 2 years of time versus trying to make a million things happen.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, okay, this is the sport we play is baseball, and here's the baseball field.
Sure.
Now let me run on the football field, the baseball field, the soccer field, that stuff.
Well, I feel like that's kind of a two-pronged thing, because number one is you can't necessarily work with everybody either. Sometimes, like you said, if somebody wants way more for their house and they're not willing to listen to you, sometimes you do have to turn away clients just in the interest of saving your own your sanity.
Well, what you find is they'll get mad at you, right, because you can't get them the offer that they wanted. And you wind up getting frustrated in them, and it's easier. A quick no is better than a long no.
Yeah,
that's true. Right?
Yeah, that's
well
actually
said.
That's good advice. A quick no is better than a long no.
Yeah,
because a lot of times you see people who, and this is just in the real estate industry, but if we're doing a CMA for a property, a lot of times the person who says I can sell it for this much is the one who gets the listing. So you see people who just throw it together because they want the listing, and they're like, they just kick the can down the road. I'll have that hard conversation later, Yeah. And I feel like it's a disservice to not be honest up front.
Well, and that builds value for you. So if you give somebody a quick no, here's my thought, here's what I think you should be doing, and I can't help you with that. You get people that are going to say, Michael's not right. Then they're going to go to somebody else, and then they drag them out. They're never going to tell you, but they have that, okay, well, Michael was right. I should listen to him out of the gate.
Yeah.
They're not going to say that, but then they come back to you for advice in the future.
Yeah. I'll follow up with them and say, I told you so.
Yeah, correct.
No, like you said, they'll come back to you in the future. People, it's easy to spot somebody who does what they do well, who knows what they're talking about, and those are the kind of people who would say, no, this is what I think. And if you don't agree, that's fine. But this is what I believe, and I'm convinced of that, So that's really interesting. So as far as, and the other thing I was going to say, it's working with not necessarily everybody, and then also you're saying knowing what you're good at. This is the sport that we play. Are you saying that in terms of like the things that you're doing on a daily basis, like tasks that you're doing and stuff?
Yeah, things you do on a daily basis. So our business, I'll give you an example. Like I like and I really enjoy doing closings. If I didn't have to do any paperwork at all, that's cool with me. Where we've got employees that, they like to do the paperwork, they don't like to do the closings. So, I'm not going to force them to say, okay, you got to do the closing now. Right?
Yeah.
You can do the paperwork. So what we do is we take their skill set and we build off of their skill set that they do well. It's kind of like no matter how well you try to write with your left hand, it's never going to be as good as your right hand if you're right-handed.
Well, that's a good example.
Yeah, so we take and try to make writing with your right hand better. That's your skill set, not your left hand.
Yeah.
So, that type of thing. So I love doing closings, but everybody makes fun of me because I'll sit in there for 2 hours and talk to somebody.
Jennifer
Probably heard
always,
Jennifer say that.
yeah,
like, Brandon's not
she
allowed to
jokes
do
about it.
closings.
Yeah, we had a closing the other day. I think it took like 12 minutes for the
Yeah.
seller or for the buyer to sign. It was a cash deal, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, that's the quickest closing. And she's like, not if Brandon was doing
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
But
that's
that's
a personal part of it. Like,
well, I
I
was
like
just
to
gonna
talk
say.
to people,
Mhm.
and aviation's huge around here. So
Yeah.
yeah.
everybody that comes in, some shape, form, or fashion was in aviation, military.
You got
So-
some kind of thread you could talk about.
Yep. So you start talking about that, and my goal is when we get halfway through the closing, people are like, "Well, what the hell did I just sign?" I'm like, okay, yeah. So we got.
Oh,
some
we did our
dialogue-
job.
We got some dialogue going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. And so having said that, then that is perfect for my next question, because we're talking about, delegating and bringing in people who will do what you're maybe not so good at. And that's also something that you hear a lot of times, but I can tend to struggle with, and I know Mark is the same way. I know how something should be done, or at least how I want it to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times, and kudos to you for putting up with me, Dan, because a lot of times it's like, let me just do it. I'll just do it. It'll make it easier on both of us. But in the long run, not necessarily. When you're bringing people in, I guess my question would be, how did you get over that? Do you struggle with that same thing? And how did you train people to do it the way you wanted to do it?
Yeah, I did it first, and you'll learn. So your career is going to continue in advance, and you're going to have employees at some point in time, or you're going to have people that work for you, and you're going to have to learn how to work as a team. And have you ever heard their saying, you are the 6 people that surround you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to build that diversity. Otherwise, everybody's going to be just like you, and where are you going to go?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you process things differently. Instead of do this my way, you can ask leading questions like, okay, well, how would you do this? So you coach people differently to get new ideas out of them, but you can also achieve the goal that you want to achieve at the same time by, okay, are you doing it my way too? And
right.
you got to keep in mind there's 100 ways to do something right. So, just because I want it done this way and they want it done this way, just stop and think about it. Is it getting done right? And if it's getting done right, then that's your goal, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Kind of releasing from the process and just latching onto the end result.
yeah, exactly. 2 plus 1 is 3, right? 1 plus 2
Is
is
it bad
3.
that I just got to jump in my stomach? I was like, oh, he's asking me a question.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. All right. Let me look at my fingers real quick.
Yeah, but no, 2 plus 1 is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3.
That's true.
The denominator's different there, but they both equal 3.
Yeah. Interesting.
So you've got to change, and the more employees you get, and the more people you're dealing with,
Probably the more you detach from that.
Yeah, and the other part is you've got to delegate and give people responsibility. You've got to trust people to do the right thing, and mistakes are okay, right? If people make mistakes, as long as it's not in malice, that's fine. It's great learning experiences. A couple years ago, we had a huge issue, and this girl was just her mind was, I'm about to get fired, and that was what she was thinking. And we said, let me talk to you. And she's like, am I fired? And I'm like, not even that thought didn't even come into my mind. And I told her, why would I fire you now? You are so much more valuable to us as an employee
Now that
you've made that
Interesting.
mistake, right? So if I fire you, I'm gonna have to go hire somebody else off the street that potentially can make that same mistake that you already have the experience of now.
What a gracious perspective.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a different perspective than I've ever heard before.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of times it's like, oh, you mess up, you're in danger
yeah.
of getting out of here.
Correct.
You know?
And like I said, if it's not, there's 2 things to that. One, as long as it's not malice to where they're doing it intentionally.
Yes.
Right. And 2, they're just not a good employee, right? That you're trying to make them do something that they don't have the skill set to do. So, mistakes are going to happen, right? You're going to write a contract wrong, but every time you write a contract wrong,
You're going to
you
fix it.
check
next
the
time.
wrong box and it costs somebody $1,500. You now are more valuable as a realtor because I'm never going to check that box again because of this experience.
Yeah.
And that would be the same example of saying, okay, I made that mistake. I'm never going to sell a piece of real estate again. You're more valuable as an agent once you make those mistakes, because you know what not to do now in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
That's
You've got
true.
that experience.
That's true.
Yeah, I would almost jokingly say, how many mistakes have you made? Okay, and then now you know not to make those mistakes
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Interesting. So then as far as training and things, Can you give us a little bit of a look under the hood as far as when you bring somebody new on? I mean, what does your process look like do they just shadow you and do you just kind of put a lot of time into them and teaching them, or how does that process look like?
Yeah, so I'll give you a real life example. So we hired Leah, which is in the bar, and she's almost 100% up running everything, doing everything herself. Not this November, but the prior November. Okay. So when she came in, and our business is so specialized, you don't know, you can't take a college class on it, right? You've got to live it, and you've got to see, okay, this issue was created by this issue was created by this, this is what it's a deed, this is what it's a special warranty deed, all this stuff. Anyway, so we bring her in and said, okay, for the next month, you're just going to sit right here beside Jennifer and watch everything she does, right? So that you become familiar with, okay, this is what title is, this is what closings are. And so that's the first month. You're just, trying to figure out what you don't know, right? I'll say people, when you first hire them, they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So we try to get you from the you don't know what you don't know to the, okay, I know what I don't know now, right? So I didn't even know what a special warranty deed was out of the beginning. I didn't know that
that's where you can work on learning those things.
Yep. To the second stage of when this would be like month 2 to month 4. Okay, I now know what a special warranty deed is, but what is it really? What does it mean? So that's the second phase, and that takes 2 to 4, 6 months, somewhere around there. And then from there, start doing stuff on your own. Okay, here's a cash deal. Work it from beginning to end, and I want you to work it up, and then tell me, bring it to me like I'm the customer, and let me walk through what you did wrong on this. So, more hands-on. There's no book you can in this industry, really a realtor either. I mean, you take your licensing, right? But your realtor license is a license to learn.
Correct.
It's a license to learn.
Yep.
It's not.
He's going through it right now. That's what we talk about all the time.
Yeah. And I go back to aviation over and over and over. When I was going through flight training, my instructor told me when I got my license, I'm thinking, okay, I'm ready to go cruise around the world now. It's like, wrong. This is a license to learn. Yeah. You are just beginning, right? So. Yeah. Interesting.
We're going to talk about aviation too. Well, there's a lot of things we're going to circle back to.
Yeah.
Because I want to hear about that. But I think that's kind of a mindset that I think lends itself to success in every area.
Yeah.
Whether you're just, doing aviation for fun as a hobby or working, always learning, always being a student of something. That's how you level up. Yeah.
And what I do to people whenever we train them is you try to get to that 90% mark, and then we're going to push you. Say, okay, well, there's 2 things. We're going to push you to where you're just outside of your comfort zone to learn more, right? Okay, well, you know this. Now, you think you know it. Okay, well, we're going to push you a little bit farther.
How much do you really know it?
You do it, and I want you to try to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Then bring it back to me. And the other thing we do is you're going to have a plan. So if you work for Brandon, you're going to have goals and objectives. You're not sitting around not doing anything. Taylor's a great example, which you met Taylor several times.
Yeah.
So, she started off 0 title experience about 5 years ago. And we said, okay, see if this is what you want to do. There's a bunch of different options and see if you like it. So we get 6 months down the road, and she said, yep, I like it. I want to keep doing it. So we said, okay, we're going to put goals in place for you. And then she was about year 3.5 or 4, and she became a title agent. So
I saw that. That was recent, wasn't it?
It was. It's been about a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah, time's going on. So, now over in Pace, she's doing just about everything on her own. So she went from being 0 comfort, 0, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what a deed is, people buy houses, to she's now, running the gauntlet on everything.
Man.
Wow.
So it's, you got to have a goal. This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do.
And you can start working towards it.
Yeah. Yep. Simple things, just little tasks over a long period of time add up to make big accomplishments.
Yeah, they do. And I'll bet it's kind of cool to see these people. They come in and you see that comfort level, and then you see it rising, and then they're able to handle a branch themselves. That's I bet that's rewarding.
It is. It's great.
Cool.
Yep.
That's exciting.
Yep, it's great.
So then with that many offices, coming back now to your time management, what are some lessons that you've learned, and what does your day consist of? What are the important things that you're working on?
Yeah, so my day is pretty much carrying around a fire extinguisher, putting out
fires
all day long. It's people calling, hey, what do we do with this? Hey, what do we do with this? Got an issue with a survey, got to do a prior deed correction. It's just taking care of issues. So, and then I still do closings every day. I mean, I like to do closings, But that's it. So it's kind of grown to where everybody is doing their thing. Like, you work with Pensacola the most. Jennifer runs the shop, does a great deal doing it. I really don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's more behind the scenes. Hey, what do we do to get this ready to close? This, person didn't sign the prior deed. What do we do, and how do we fix it? Just the one-off stuff that you've got to work through and you've got to learn how to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we get a customer that's just super, super difficult, I don't want anybody dealing with that. I take care of it myself.
Yeah.
That's wise.
And you get them. So, I'll do those. I'll handle those. If somebody's just being extremely difficult, I'll take those over and handle those and get them closed. So it's a litany of things, man. And then, when you own a business, you got to run payroll. You got to do all these different things. You got to pay the mortgages.
You're managing
you got to do
the
the
back end.
accounting. Yeah, all this different stuff. So.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
So
I never really know what I'm gonna be doing every morning.
Yeah.
Most of it's just putting out fires and taking care of stuff.
Yep, I understand that, and I feel like this entire industry is really that way.
Yeah.
And you obviously way more so than most people because you have so much on your plate. But there's always something to do.
Yeah. Yep.
So when you started your first office, did Jennifer start that with you, or did she jump in afterwards? What happened?
She did. We actually started from just a little bitty single office in a shared office complex type thing, and so we just had the kids. She was pregnant with the kids. Just had the kids the first couple months, and she would help print everything off, get everything ready, help get the notaries ready and the package ready, and then I would grab it from her, and then I would go to this little office whenever we could block off a time, right, amongst the shared conference room and get it closed. Bring it back to her. She'd send in and get processing stuff. So she's been working on it too.
That is crazy. So she's used to juggling. I mean, you guys are both used to juggling the kids and everything going on too.
I mean,
that was crazy with newborns.
Yeah, you're going through packages, and I remember going through packages, and she'd be notarizing them, stamping them at night with a bottle in a kid's mouth. Saying,
wow.
That's what you do when you own a business.
Yeah. That's part of the responsibility that comes with it. You guys you have twins, right?
Twins.
Okay. Yeah.
So we had twins at the same time.
Double the workload.
Wow.
Man, thinking about that time in your life makes me stressed out.
Yeah.
It is.
Just the amount of time put in.
Oh man, the best advice I could give anybody when you start a business, just relax. Because when I look back, it was, man, I'm worried to death about the kids. Okay, are we going to be able to pay the bills? Okay, is the business going to do do people want to do business with us? Okay, what do I do to find more business? Just all these what ifs.
Yeah.
And the first 3 years, just like a lightning ball, just gone. So that part I regret, and this goes back to what you mentioned earlier. Okay, well, what regrets do you have? I wish I could have sat back and enjoyed it more. Said, okay, let me not get so caught up in the rat race every day that 3 years is gone.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and there's a lot of benefits to being the size that you are now. Do you kind of miss that startup phase? I mean, would you consider yourself an entrepreneur at heart, or did this just kind of?
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always kind of got the wheel spinning. What can I do? And then we've got Kipling Street. That's a real estate company too that. We own a bunch of real estate and do property management. I manage my own, but
really,
we do rentals for people, residential rentals and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So, I didn't know that.
Just my own properties. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
well, that's cool.
A couple different things. So it's always got stuff going. Like, okay,
you're able to scratch that itch.
Yep. Correct. Okay, I'm gonna buy a house, and same thing. It's from a need for people. So I started buying just residential properties, and a tenant would say, "Hey, my sister needs somewhere to live. Do you have somewhere she can live?" I'm like, "Oh man, I don't, but I can go buy that townhome and I can rent it to her. So I'm gonna go buy that townhome. I'm gonna lease it to her for 2 years, right?
Wow,
2 years.
Man.
So, that part of the entrepreneurship, and that, same as a title company. That company started off with a $38,000 townhome, and now and that company. Own stuff like the office building on Cervantes.
Yeah.
And the title company pays rent. It's just how, it works.
So that's set up. Okay.
Yeah.
How many properties total do you own? If you don't mind me asking.
We've got 19 now. They range from like the stuff that's the Cervantes building all the way back down to townhomes. So, yeah.
Man. So who manages that?
I do it all.
You do it
I do
all.
it all usually at night. Yeah, I do it all at night.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
All right. And it's called Kipling?
Kipling Street.
Okay.
Yeah, Kipling Street is the first townhome we bought was on Kipling Street.
Nice little callback there.
It's just stayed the same ever since.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So you already talked about this a little bit, but I want to talk about kind of like work-life balance, especially with kids. You had twins at home. You already said just relax, enjoy the process a little bit more. How do you make sure that you have time to spend with your family on top of everything else that you have going on.
You've got to make it a priority. I mean, there's always another day to make $1, right? But you got to find time to spend something doing together. And what we've done, aviation, as far as time together, aviation's been a huge part of our life. You know, even when the kids were little, we had a little 4-seater plane, and we would fly somewhere on a long weekend with a kid. So, I think people can kind of get stuck in, I got to go on this elaborate family vacation for it to count. No.
Spend time together.
Just go Friday, Saturday somewhere, go camping, just do something small. Once again, if you do these small trips, it builds up and it equals more than taking two weeks somewhere.
That's true. Yeah.
So I mean, we've made a priority, and it's finding something that all your family can do, right? So when our kids were little, they used to like to go out to the airport, sit in the chairs, and watch the planes take off.
Cool.
So, we've had them involved in that ever since they were little. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's something for us too. I mean, we were raised, any vacations that we had, any trips that we took were to visit family. We would go, drive and see my grandparents in Indiana, or, aunts and uncles, things like that, because that was the only time that we could get to go see them. And so what you're saying just now, you don't have to take big elaborate vacations. We never did. No. But our family is super, super close.
And you remember it. I mean,
that's true.
All those little trips.
You build
those
bonds between your family.
It's the, you think about people that go to Disney World. Nobody in their right mind would pay that much money to go to Disney World.
Yeah.
People are paying that much money
because they think it's
for the memories, the memories of it. Like, okay, I see all these people holding out, pictures in front of the castle. Okay, that's the memories, and their family looks happy and all that. That's the lure to stuff like Disney World.
Yeah.
You're not buying it so that you can go and the whole family can get sick for a week when you get back.
Yeah.
It's, the memory of it so that we can try to remember it.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. Interesting. So we've already talked about aviation a little bit, but I was going to ask what you do in your free time, but that's pretty obvious.
In aviation, what we've had the last 2 years, I still need to take you guys flying.
Listen, we were trying to go last week, and then it's just cold as.
If you can get involved, in aviation, any shape, form, or fashion, there's so much you can do. Do it. It will change your personal life, and it will change your work life, right? It's the cool thing of aviation. There's zero error. There is no error. It requires perfection. So, I can just give you a quick example. When I was going through flight training, and this was through some of the early stages of commercial flight training, we got in plane with the instructor who fired up, and we started taxiing down. We get halfway down the taxiway, and John says, "Turn around, go back." I'm like, "Okay, what did I do wrong?" He's like, "Just turn around, go back." So we get back there, and he's like, shut it down. And he says, "Okay, do you know what you did?" I said, "I don't have a clue." And so you're supposed to keep your nose wheel right on the taxi line. But, in these little planes, the runways or the taxiways are so big, you can kind of, move around a little. Yeah. So it's like your front nose wheel got off the center line about 1.5 feet. And I'm thinking, dude, 1.5 feet, like it's a 25-foot wide taxiway.
Yeah.
But the purpose was that, you let that slide. Something that was so minute, you let it slide. Okay, it's 1 foot today. Okay, it's 2 foot tomorrow. Okay, it's 3 foot the next time. So maintain that 100% accuracy. That's the goal, right? That's what you got to strive for each day. And as you do things like that, and still today, okay, it's got to be 100% accurate, right? So after you do that for so long in aviation, that stuff trickles over to your personal life. Yeah. Right. So in your work life too, you're like, okay, something I would have let slide 3 years ago, I've just got that mindset now. Okay, it's got to be
sure everything is buttoned up.
It's got to be good, right? It's got to be good. So aviation, you'll find with that mentality will kind of shift how you do everything. Right.
Interesting. I want to clip that. That's really interesting how aviation helps in business.
It does. And when you look at it, so you can go, if you're at the airport, right, and you go down and you're talking to all the people in the hangar row, right? So you say, okay, well, what do you do? I own a big lawn care company. Okay, next person, we do. I'm an executive at Delta. Okay,
they're business people.
Well, what do you do? I'm a cardiothoracic surgeon. It's when you go, you'll find a lot of it is kind of the higher performing people, and that boggled me at first. I'm like, okay, well, why are all these people, lingering towards aviation? Why is that? And it's the strenuous part of it. And it's not easy, right? So, people like a challenge. Most time high performers, they like a challenge. And aviation is definitely a challenge. So,
Now, when did you get into it?
Actually grew up. So my dad was in the Air Force, grew up around planes.
Okay.
But I got into flying about 10 years ago. Yeah, got into it, slowed down, trying to get the company going and everything, and then we got back into it about 2013.
Gotcha.
14. Yep.
And so now you have your private pilot's license, and that's you just go out whenever you can.
Yeah, private and instrument. Yeah,
Okay.
and you just go out and fly whenever you can. So,
well, we want to get out there at some point with you.
Yeah.
So the one I want to take you guys up in is it's a Vans RV4. It's an aerobatic plane.
Yeah.
It's the one with the shell. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
I know
Let's
those.
go.
Yeah.
That's
I love
exciting.
RVs. I've never actually been up in an RV. I
Yep.
heard you have a Cub too.
Yep.
I haven't been up in one of those
Those
either.
are cool. Cubs are cool too.
I told you. I said text us and we'll go out there.
Yeah.
Text us whenever.
Yep.
Because we'll make time for that. I'm sure he told you, and I think I've told you before too. But our dad's a pilot his whole life. Grandfather, same thing. His dad, the same thing. So aviation kind of runs deep in the family. I've always been exposed to aviation, but not really enjoyed it or had much interest in it until I started working with him at the airport 2 years ago. I was like, man, this stuff is fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun. So
yeah, when you do it for a hobby, it's it's great. Obviously, I'm biased, but I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
imagine have a better hobby than aviation.
probably an expensive hobby though.
It's what you make of it.
Fair
you know,
enough.
you can't. So I'll wind the clock back. The very first plane that I got was a little Cessna 150, and it's the Yugo of the sky type thing. Just this little tin can with wings, and got it. I think I paid $14,000 for it. Got it from Fort Wayne, Indiana, which you guys probably know where that is.
Yep.
Flew it back to Milton. And they cruise at, I don't know, like 90 miles an hour, 95, and it's this wide, and you got to slither in it and slither out of it, and you're just miserable. But when you're up there flying, it's
worth
awesome.
it.
Unreal.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
14 grand. I can't believe it's that
Yeah,
cheap.
Well, that
they're
was-
to get a plane.
They're cheap. Yeah, I mean,
That was
and
like 15 years ago too, though.
no, that was so the 150 we got in 2013.
2013.
Not too long ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's still, I mean, you can, and planes have gone up in value. You can still
Yeah.
get one for 20,000, 22,000.
Yeah,
Wow.
20's what I've seen is to be the cheapest price, especially for a Cessna because they're
Yeah.
pretty dependable overall.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, they're
Easy
good.
to find parts for.
It's just like, offshore fishing. You can have a $20,000
Yeah.
boat you can go out fishing in, or you can have a $10 million yacht.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It's just what you want to make of it.
That's true.
Huh.
Yeah. Interesting. Man, that's exciting. Well, again, get us out because you're saying as far as the acrobatic, man, I would love that. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
All right.
you'll see when you go flying, back up to, we were talking about the precision. So everything is precise. Everything has to be in its place. Everything is for a reason, and you're doing things for a purpose.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I love that. That's cool. Well, I mean, we can start to wrap this up here. Is there anything else that you would kind of give advice for beginners as far as entrepreneurs, business people, maybe people looking to get into the title business, things like that? What advice would you give?
You got to be persistent and stick it out, right? So, there's so many people you guys see too. They say, okay, well, these people make a ton of money. You can't get into it because they make a ton of money. That's a side effect because there's a ton of things you can do to make a ton of money.
That's true.
Right? So people will get in it just for the sole purpose of trying to make money, right? And they never work out. It never lasts because your mindset's wrong. So if you get in it though because you like to help people, you like real estate, you like doing something different every day, you like the transaction, and you like things to be high pace, high speed, then real estate's the life for you, right? And so what we talked about at the beginning, so don't worry about making the money, just worry about getting as many customers as you can. So if your goal is, okay, I had 50 customers this year, I want to have 75 customers next year. Work towards that, and it'll take time. So very few people have ever gotten to real estate year one or year two and made $100,000.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
But
it's not a
if you
get rich quick industry.
If you stick it out and you start to get those referrals and you really, dot your I's and cross your T's and take care of the customer, they're going to say, hey, Michael took care of me. Call him whenever you get ready to sell a piece of real estate.
Yeah.
And that takes time, right? It takes time to catch up. So, don't think that you're going to have this 6-figure income in year one.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you have that 6-figure a year income year 4, 5, or 6? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you got to work persistently every single day.
You got to do the steps leading up to that.
Every
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's exciting. So if anybody wanted to reach out to you or kind of learn more about you, do you have LinkedIn, Facebook? Where would you want people to go?
Yeah, just tell them, no, cell phone. I mean, send me
Okay.
a text message, 850-530-4133. You
Heck
can,
yeah.
I keep my phone on me nonstop. You can call, just like, I'll get back with you.
Yeah.
Love helping people. So, if you're kind of considering, do we want to get into title insurance? Do we want to get into all this different stuff? I don't mind talking to anybody and walking through, hey, this is what I've seen over the last 20 years and kind of how it's, flowed and gone. And I always go back to the mistakes. These are the mistakes I've seen people make, learn from those mistakes so that you don't make them yourself.
Yeah.
And move forward from there. So
I love it, man. Well, Brandon, this has been a really good podcast. I feel like this has gone really, really quickly, and I hope everybody listening enjoys it as much as I enjoyed talking to you. This is really a lot of information.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get you on here sometime soon. Eventually, we're going to get a fourth microphone. I don't know if Jennifer would be willing to get on and have talk to you guys side by side. I'd be willing to hear her side of it too.
Yeah. I have to do that for sure.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Take care. Yep.